Hello everyone, this is Tundra and I decided to actually create a video because many of people asking about how to exactly shade like that, how to draw like that. I'm self-taught, I never really took any lessons, just learned myself how to shade like this, so yeah, I try to explain. Okay, so first let's talk a bit about how the lead itself behaves when we draw. Like if we draw, actually we obviously touch the surface, and lead won't be exactly equally all over its surface. Like if it's better to explain actually on some symbolic lead drawing. So when we draw, we kind of get an angled surface on one side of the lead if we use it all the time, the same angle, if we just move all over the place. And we get that pointy tip if we maintain the same angle of shading. And obviously we get like constant flat surface right there, which is like we want it, we want to use it. So we don't get really distortions, and we keep all the time the same amount of lead on the paper, not really anything unwanted. So yeah, I think that's it. That's the basic thing that we have to keep in mind. The other thing is using eraser. Actually, it might sound actually really easy how to use eraser because it just erases, right? But we kinda always get such thing like that, right? Some darker point after erasing the lead. So we don't really want to use it, we want to remove it, because if we actually use it all over again, it might smear and we want to get like unwanted lines around the drawing. So it's important to, whenever our eraser is like too much covered in lead, just clear it like that. Use some paper, whatever, just rub a bit and it will be clean. Like always use clean eraser. So yeah, I will show on some kind of example. Let's say we draw some hairline or whatever, just to see how the transition itself is made. Let's say this is like part of hair or something, like it can be actually whatever, just to show how the entire shading process I have in mind goes. So those are like sketch lines. There are nothing really in particular, the sketch lines. They are slightly distorted, they aren't really exactly the same angle, whatever, doesn't matter. But what we do in the first step, we turn our pencil to have the tip, the pointy one. The pointy one allows us to actually create the really distinguished lines, like really visible ones. But the most important is the pressure we use. Don't touch too much, don't touch too little as well. So if you actually mark them too much, you might have problem erasing. So it's always better to use less power. And yes, how do we start actually? Like, just indicate like where do we want to have the most shaded part. Like in this case, this will be my edge, the darker one. So I just keep repeating basically the same move all over the place. Like the more I push the pencil towards the paper, obviously the darker it gets. So if I press it a little bit less, I can create this kind of like lighter effect. And if I almost don't touch it, like I barely touch it right now, so it creates like even lighter shades. So what we want to do is like really smooth gradient kind of transition. And since I'm using one pencil, it's kind of time consuming. You need to basically repeat all over the place, like the same move, the same angle. It's important to keep the same angle of moving the pencil so we don't get unnecessary lines, and it just looks like the exactly same constant constantly like the smoothness effect actually goes from that, from repeating all over the place the same movement. If we want to get from the darker to the lighter, we just need to start from the darker side and slowly make the pressure that we put on the paper lighter. Make it lighter, make the lines go not at the exact same pressure as we started, so we kinda create this smooth effect just by doing it. Start from the dark and slightly release the pressure and keep moving towards the lighter direction. Yeah, it takes a bit of time, and what's the most problematic maybe is maintaining the same pressure all over the place, because as we can see it's exactly almost symmetrical. Like if we put the line through it, the layers should be like on the bottom and on the top equally shaded, if you kinda know what I mean. So yeah, like right now, barely touching the paper actually. I still use the same angle of pencil. I don't rotate it, I don't do anything with it, just constantly move the same way. Just keep in mind that the pressure you put has to be more on the darker edge and barely touching the paper on the outside edge. So that's basically it. It's not really complicated, so the smoother effect we get, the more we actually observe how the layers behave. So if we don't really take too much time covering it layer by layer, we will have slightly, like not really that smooth gradient effect. So the more we actually put layer after layer after layer, it will be more balanced, the gradient will be more smooth and the effect will be much better. So that's why it takes 15 to 25 hours for me actually to shade entire drawing, because it's just really time consuming. As you can see, I'm doing only one fragment right now and it already takes quite a bit. And sometimes we get such thing, like we get a really dark place because in the unevenness of paper, or we just accidentally press too much. Just take eraser and bit by bit touch it. Don't smear, just touch it. We will have obviously marks on the eraser. Don't use them again to not make the place darker. Turn it, touch it a bit more. Yeah, if we think that it's light enough again, just repeat, basically like that. Repeat all over the place. Try to not necessarily stick to the exact place that we erased, because it will look kinda artificial, I'd say. Just keep repeating what you did. The surface itself that we erased will be back to normal after a minute or two. So yeah, basically that. If something is wrong, just touch the eraser, don't really smear it, because it will destroy exactly everything, and the effect will be worse, and you will have to spend more time erasing it again and again and again. So yeah, that's it. We have like one piece of hair, let's say, and let's say we want to make another one next to it. Can be anything. We again start the same process. We mark the edge by using the pointy tip. We turn the pencil again to the flat surface, so we don't get really strong kind of lanes. We just do basically the same, like apply the strongest shade in this area. Mark the lane again to make it even more visible, and now we are basically applying the shade further on. We make it lighter, we make it even more lighter outside. Yeah, and back to the darkest part. So little by little make the pressure from the pencil lighter and just keep going towards the lightest possible element on your drawing that you want. I am aware that it might be not really easy to match the grayscale, because like I do everything in grayscale, but you just need to kinda imagine like how do you want your transition to go, and where is the edge between like the really light shade and the really dark shade. You can really manipulate it however you want. Like in this kind of scenario, I try to apply the shade like smoothly through all the hairpiece or whatever it is, by constantly repeating the movement. So yeah, that will be it. If it helped you, if it enjoyed, that's great. Let me know if the video was helpful anyhow, and if you learned something. It's really great if you did, but I never really shared something like that, so feedback is appreciated. Thanks again for watching, and bye bye.